You guys have some very strong opinions about name, image, and likeness and revenue sharing.
Yep.
Before we get to that, let's just start at the beginning because this can be so convoluted, right? I mean,
Okay.
back in the day, if you were fortunate enough to go to college and you were athletic, you could go out for the rowing team or something like that. Then football comes along and basketball comes along. And then schools said, hey, why don't we offer scholarships and recruit these guys to play? They're not going to get paid money, but that seems like a good quid pro quo, right? To offer a full scholarship for our university and you get your education. When I was playing college football, look, there were some aspects of that didn't sit right with not being able to sign an autograph for $50 when some kid in the math class could do the same thing.
Right.
Or,
On scholarship, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now we've entered that name, image, and likeness period, and I've heard you talk about a revenue sharing model as well. Can you break down what should the next iteration of college football be that is fair for all involved and that makes the most sense to keep the sport great?
Yeah, so let's break this down with just some numbers, okay? So the average, I've seen a lot of different reports on it, but the average value an athlete receives at a P5 school, Power 5 school, is about $135,000, $150,000 annually in tuition, board, indirect expenses, perks, et cetera. So there's value in that annually, $500,000, whatever. Okay. There are 52,000 student athletes in the NCAA. There's about 7,000 that play Power 5 football and high major basketball. Okay, if you break that down, there's about 20% of those that actually have a value that exceeds on the marketplace what they're already getting in this tangible, intangible world of academic. And so we're only talking, in our pragmatic look at it, at about 2.6% of the overall that aren't being treated fairly. So I want to put the misnomer that all athletes aren't. It's only a small few. Now, the key is that the half to a quarter of that 2.6%, they're leaving a lot of money on the table if any type of federal action passes, because there's about $300 million that's flowing through this collective system that goes into this roster value, roster management that is really, for the most part, targeting that 2.6%.
I'm going to just double down on that because as someone who just left a school, and as I'm sitting here looking at all the SEC schools, with their logos on the wall, if we're going to talk about football and you're a scholarship athlete at a SEC school, how you are taken care of, whether it's, by materials, by services, the misconception out there, you still get money from the school in terms of your free education. You also get cash from the school every single month, stipend, your cost of attendance, all the things. College athletes are treated very well. And when Shannon said it's a very small percentage and a small group of athletes that, quote unquote, aren't getting their fair share, that's true. Because if you look back 3 years ago and I walked into any team room, my team room, and I offered every single guy as they were walking out a $100 Visa gift card, they could have been taking the hottest girl on campus to a date that night, and they would be 3 hours late because they're getting that $100 gift card. Yeah. Well, now half these guys are giving you the bird because they're not getting $50,000 to go sign a football, right? And so I think perspective is big, and I think the more this kind of era plays itself out, and a lot of these athletes really see my education and my training table and my massage I get and all the things that the school offers, it's all competition. So if there's something going on at Florida, it's going to happen at LSU and all the things, right? It's recruiting. These kids are getting well taken care of. Very well taken.
Let me add one point because I was thinking about your question. Revenue sharing is going to happen.
And how's it going to work?
I think there are three ways in which this thing could all fall out. Okay, the first, these aren't in order of operation. The NCAA threw out a Hail Mary for federal action. Okay, and that would allow them to basically maintain and control their association as they have for decades. Okay, we don't think there's any form of that's going to happen that's substantive. Okay, a second version that could happen would be a couple of the conferences or one of the conferences or a few of the conferences break out, and set up their own association. Okay, that's a little more complicated. And then that creates some problems with Title IX and labor and labor relation laws. And I think there's a third approach that could involve the collectives or a third party independent party being sanctioned by the NCAA are the conferences that work with the schools. And that third party would be working with just these, just football, just the revenue generating side. And I think that model could avoid Title IX issues and labor issues. But that all of it, I think, is going to have to be led by the conferences.
So let's take a hypothetical real quick. Let's just say the USC Trojans, right?
Yeah.
We know the reigning Heisman Trophy out there is probably adding the most value, not only monetarily, but to the football program as well. We know who, if they could get one player, that's the player they would want to get. Now, it's easy for a third-party sponsor to be able to put that value on him. If Dr. Pepper wants to make a commercial like they did with Bryce Young, if they want to do that with Caleb Williams, hey, we're going to pay this guy this much money because we're going to see the return in a commercial rather than, say, the left guard.
There's an ROI.
But for the football team, through these collectives, should these payments be performance-based, where the quarterback gets more than, say, the left tackle, or are these going to be like uniform payments that happen? Because just because you bring up the phrase, 2% of these guys aren't getting what they're valued at.
Here's my take on it, and what the heck do I know? First of all, it's not an infinite supply of money. Mm-hmm. Okay, so each of these schools, each of these collectives, they're operating within a budget and will always be operating within a budget. So this notion that, it's just every player is going to get millions of dollars is and so what you will see is an efficient market start taking shape, and that these collectives or these third parties or these schools will learn from the mistakes they made the previous year, and it should be up to the school/collective on how they deploy those funds. Mm-hmm. And they will learn each year. Their needs will change. The smart programs will put a lot of money in the line of scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
if they're smart,
the smart programs will put a lot of money in the line of scrimmage, and quarterback, defensive end, and wide receiver. We all know the game. We know how it's played, but it's not an infinite amount of money, and that needs to, and I don't think we're that far from it working. And I think the one word is the output of all of this is parity.
Yeah.
Instead of 2 or 3 schools competing every year for it, I think we're going to get up to 10 or 12 if this is done right.
Yeah.
All right, back to the sports in 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get to Genucell.
Come on.
Our friends over there.
Love them.
We're New Jersey Devils fans now. They're the official skincare of the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
You think you think you can just be the official skincare of an NHL hockey team?
You got to be elite.
Unless you're up here.
You're top tier. Top tier.
Look, I'm using Genucell twice a day, not gonna lie, morning and night. I've used the dark spot corrector. I've used the special under eye cream. I'm loving the stuff.
You look phenomenal, bud.
Well, thank you.
You're
Don't
welcome.
stop.
No, I'll keep going.
We'll make this whole show about
No
this
dark
right now.
spots on your eyes? Wonder why that? I mean, you got 2 babies. It's not like you're getting a lot of sleep, Cone.
No, I'm not. And now the whole family's getting in on it because the wife's been using Genucell. I got the mother that the complete care package.
There you go.
For Mother's Day.
Summer
So
essentials,
look,
babe.
our friends over at Genucell sold out of that dark spot corrector. And our listeners have been begging for a restock. Well, great news. Just in time for summer, it is back in stock. Genucell's famous dark spot corrector has not 1, but 3 cutting-edge ingredients and goes to work fast to target sunspots, dark spots, liver spots, and even old discoloration, both on your face and on your hands. You can now enjoy your summer, sun, the beach, the barbecues without embarrassing spots. That's Genucell's most popular package. Genucell's most popular package also features their summer essentials, like the best-selling Ultra Retinol Moisturizer with a powerful retinol alternative for safe use in the sun. You'll be amazed at how quickly you see results, or 100% of your money guaranteed back. Go to Genucell.com/booster right now to get your dark spot corrector into Genucell's most popular package. That's Genucell, GENUCEL.com/booster, BOOSTER, right now, and you save over 70% off Genucell's most popular package. 70, not 7%, not 17%, 70%. It's more free than it's not.
It's ridiculous.
Right? All orders will include a mystery luxury gift while supplies last. last if you go to geniuscell.com/booster. And you know what those mystery luxury gifts? Look, the dark spot corrector is the dark spot corrector, but a mystery luxury gift, that could be anything.
I love mystery.
Could even be a dark spot
I love
corrector.
mysteries and luxuries.
You see what I'm saying?
Huge fan.
You know, the thing about NIL and Grant, we were talking about this before we started recording. The thing about NIL to me is, and to go back to what David said, if I feel hypocritical, because some people out there are like, oh, you just need to get a scholarship and that's it, it's good enough or whatever. Or you hear some politician saying, oh, every player is going to be driving a Bentley, which is, you have no concept of what actually is happening if you think that. But if I'm going to sit here and ask to be paid for my name, image, and likeness, and I'm offering a skill set that maybe not everybody has, my ass ain't going out there running a 4.4. Like, I'm not jumping. I don't have a 42-inch vertical and can jump over a DB from Alabama and make a catch. So if I'm selling a jersey, I use the Cam Newton and Tim Tebow situation.
What would they have made?
There's no telling. Johnny Manziel. What would he have made? But Grant, something we were going back and forth on. To me, you talk about it's smart to put money into the line of scrimmage. It is. NIL, might as well, you might as well just put it LOS. That's what it sounds like to me. But the transfer portal mixed with NIL, if I am a coach, not necessarily a new coach, I don't think you need to build the ship for a long term out of the transfer portal. You need to plug holes in the ship with it once you get where you need to go. But a new coach is going to have to add it. But if I'm sitting here looking at the transfer portal, why would I not spend more of my NIL money on a proven commodity? It's like taking a free agent in the NFL over projecting a draft.
Let me give you one short answer and then go to Grant.
Go ahead.
Because these collectives and schools, what I think they did this year is they shut their roster down. They locked them up.
Wow.
Yep.
And so the amount of talent in the real talent in the transfer portal, it wasn't that deep this year. And that I was unbelievably surprised by the field of talent that was there.
Yeah.
It's-
And that's up and down, right? That's going to be
Yeah. So it's funny you bring this up. 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a high level donor at Tennessee who gives to the collective and also gives to the school and the institution, the development office. And I said, hey, there's all this, talk about donor fatigue out there, and the asks just keep coming, right? You give $1 million, they need $1 million next year too,
Sheriff
right? And the school also needs their $1 million, right? And so I said, what's your mindset when you are giving to these two entities, but both are pressing forward, both are on the same page of, hey man, we want to go win football games next year? He said, he goes, I'm an alumni. This is him speaking. He goes, I'm always going to give money to the school. But when I give my money to the school, I see that building erect 5 years from now with my name on it.
Yep.
He goes, I can give to a collective, and we can go get players out of the portal and go win football games next year. There's this instant gratification, this instant ROI. It's like, man, I can give money and we can have a great, beautiful stadium. And that's always going to be important in recruiting, right? But man, I can go and say, hey, we need a quarterback this year, but we're going to have to pay him X, Y, or Z. Well, I'll write the check for that one.
Direct impact.
100%,
Yeah.
right? And you'll see that. These big schools, like, you don't want to muddy the waters and then, try to have donors involved in recruiting and say, hey, I put money up for that guy, and now he turns out to be whatever because he can't handle his business off the field, whatever it might be. At the same time, you don't think there's some donors at Tennessee that sat there when we were taking down the goalpost after Alabama, like, man, like my money helped do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And look,
cut it down.
I think I told you before, the guys I grew up with who love college football, and these guys here too, they've never ever said the phrase, you know what I love about college football is that those guys out there doing all the work don't make any money.
Yeah.
I mean, America is a pro-free market country, right? And in a pro-free market country, you should be able to be compensated for any skill set that you have. That we agree upon. But at the same time, like you said, there is an issue of parity. So if you're talking about, let's have a collective for a school and a certain percentage will go to this position, a certain percentage will go to that position. That reminds me a lot of the NFL salary cap, for which running backs right now are complaining that their market value isn't as high as it quote unquote should be, even though a GM is saying these are the teams that are winning Super Bowls. So what will happen from a parity standpoint if everyone can get on the same page with these collectives? And what's the appropriate amount of teams that we need in high level Power 5 college football before it maxes out and you can't even be egalitarian anymore?
We need more than we've had.
Yeah.
And I think that's forget. So I was going to have you guys soon on my podcast. So I want to ask you a
Can't
question
wait.
now. Can I
Yeah.
preempt this?
Heck yeah.
So I've talked to a few people privately about this concept, but I'd like to know your thoughts on why doesn't a school just say, you know what, we're going to load up. So if the marketplace right now is say 10 million deployed or 8 million deployed at the high levels, let's go take 2 years. Let's do 30 million.
Yeah.
Let's go all in. Now, there's a school right now, I think, that is really forging ahead, the Longhorns. They're getting ready
For sure.
for what it's going to be like to have to go to Mississippi State, then to Georgia, then to Bama.
War
where
chest,
it's just a different animal. Well, why not? What do you think? Why not just because you can, you can. So why not just triple it, quadruple it? Just go all in.
Well,
get them all.
Again, I mean, I think you're going to see that. So all it takes is first person to pull the trigger, right? That it's all keeping up with the Joneses. It's just like on Step Brothers. I mean, you know, one person's getting Hulk hands, the other one's getting a rawhide wallet. I want the Hulk hands.
Right.
All right, so
I want
it's
the wallet.
but it's well, yeah. Well, David, you have
more
two
practical.
kids.
Yeah, let's be honest.
Yeah, David also has a segment called "Get Off My Lawn," so I don't know. But no, I think you're going to see somebody end up doing that. What's going to stop and Auburn from going to Tim Cook?
Right.
At Apple and saying, you know what, give us this. You want us to compete with
Let's go.
Alabama and Georgia right now? Let's do it right now. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw that in the next 2 to 3 years, especially if somebody gets a taste. Give them a little taste of winning, a little bit of a jump start. We call it sipping from the cup. Once you sip from the cup, baby, there's no other flavor that tastes as good. So I think you're going to see
It's not really happening right now, by the way.
Yeah, well,
they're all playing within this gentleman standard.
Yeah,
and the numbers, we've actually seen the numbers. I would say they're about 12, 13% higher than they were last year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, again,
Someone will be the Huckleberry.
someone will be your Huckleberry when it comes down to it. And you know what? If it works, it's going to be to the moon, baby. It's going to be absolutely to the moon.
YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's catch you on the next one.